Good afternoon, everybody. It's Eric Mashinsky, Gold Investment Letter. This is a brief update on the markets. I want to highlight a couple of different companies and probably a little bit of a long time coming on, for example, Metallis Resources. This stock, I just want to give a blanket sort of statement about the state of the market, but I'll do that after I go through a couple of key names just to give you a briefing. Metallis, I forgot exactly the price that I came out and I revealed this to our free e-letter, which was probably around 17 cents or 16 cents or 18 cents Canadian, ran up to 22, came all the way back down. I think it touched like 12. Now it's at 15. And so just FYI, they announced yesterday a private placement. It's a very modest one, and it's at 13 cents Canadian. So right now it's trading at 14 and a half by 15. I am extremely bullish on this play. However, I don't think you need to rush into buying more stock too high until they get this placement pretty much closed. Now, I have spoken to them, and I believe they're going to wrap it up. They've got more than enough interest. They could probably realistically close this on Friday, maybe Thursday, Friday, maybe Monday. So that means that, if it goes up too much, like for example, if it goes back to 18, you may have some people that are going into the placement, myself included. I am participating. If you not included in the sense that I would sell to raise money to go into the placement, I want every share that I could possibly have of Metallis. I'm up to 1.2 million shares. I've been buying this whole time, along with and after you guys were privy to me being bullish on this. It's a very special story. I'm going to wait to give you my follow-up on this until we get close to them closing the placement and or getting it closed. What we do want is for them to close it, because that's going to give them enough money to drill at Greyhound in Idaho. And that could be a very big linchpin going into the end of the year in terms of value creation in this story. Metallis is very interesting. I just don't want everybody to jump. Look, if you're one of the people, and it's not a legacy shareholder in Metallis, if you're one of the people here that you ended up buying into that when I mentioned it, and then after I didn't come up with an update, and the stock faded back down, and you dumped it, listen. The only thing I could say that could be somewhat justified in terms of where you are with your approach to some of these volatile stocks like this is if some of you had a flashback to Carlisle Commodities. Let me address one of the ones that I've made a big mistake on and shared with. It's been about a year since I came out with. We financed. It was myself, my elite members, a few. I don't even know if Premium got any. We financed Carlisle CCC at 8.5 cents, something like late last summer, maybe September. And I was very bullish on the Newton asset, and the stock started to move into the teens, where I ended up recommending it to everybody because my thought was, not is, that could be $1 stock or more if run properly, but it wasn't. And there were just some big red flags that started to come up. I want to be clear about something, guys. I don't promote or come out and tell all of you that I'm buying something or that I like something with the intention of dumping it on you. Doesn't happen. And also, if there are ever any sort of like sponsorships or marketing agreements or something, you always will see that at the bottom of the disclaimer. Otherwise, I keep my standard disclaimer that I am an investor like all of you, but I may buy or sell at any time, just because I don't announce everything that I do. But you guys hopefully are big boys and girls, and can determine what you want to determine. However, in the case of Carlisle, it dawned on me this last weekend, like when I came out and recommended that, it ran up to like 21, 22 cents, just like Metallis did after I recommended it. And then it started coming back down. So if any of you had been in Carlisle and that thing kept going down, because I wasn't buying more of it, I wasn't buying more of it because there were red flags that came up after we got pregnant in the deal. I am sitting on huge losses in Carlisle and dump and then tell you guys to dump. I tend to take the bulk of these mistakes in terms of absorbing any loss myself. I think there were a couple of 100,000 shares in Carlisle out of millions that I own, that I did loosen up like as it had gone down, just because those were like extra trading positions. But that was after, way after I put a hold on it. And if I come out and go, hey, buy, and then sell, those things will just get devastated. So one thing you can keep in mind is if I say hold, it's a hold. Typically, if I still like a deal, I'll say buy up to, even if it's way under the market price. So like, don't chase it, hold it for sure, and look to buy more if you can. In Carlisle's case, it was too much of a breach of trust. I will spare you the details, but the point of bringing that up is that Metallis is not a Carlisle. There's a whole different ball game in terms of management, integrity, and credibility, and opportunity with this Greyhound asset in Idaho. And they've got a flagship asset called Kirkham in the Golden Triangle. Some of you may remember us playing Metallis from 20, 30 cents to almost $3 back in like 2017. And I found out that some people still own some. And those are the ones that I asked the CEO to help give some allocation in the placement to, because they're elite or premium members that, have held all this time and they're way down. But Metallis is going to be, I think, a really good, very profitable pick for us. I would just tell you, you don't want to pay over like 16 cents Canadian right now because of a couple of reasons. One is you start to run into people that'll sell in hope that they're going to get some of the placement. There should be bottom line, there should be a little bit of a cap on it. But if you want to chip away at 15, 15 and a half, maybe 16, whatever, the next couple of days, I think it's a great idea, because this is going to be either a very big winner or else I'm nuts. Then I want to move on to one of the plays that I've recommended here before that hasn't done much, but is more of a mid-tier, mid-cap listed company, meaning they are on the New York Stock Exchange and the Toronto Stock Exchange, and also trade. Let me just pull it up right now. It's a $427 million market cap in US dollars. So call it over 550 million Canadian, and that is I-80. I-80 right now in the US is $1.11. IAU in Canada, for those of you in Canada, it's at $1.50. I would highly recommend that my subscribers, and the reason I'm even featuring this right now to everybody is because this one's liquid enough where a lot of us can buy a bunch of stock and we're not going to move it all over the place. Some of the smaller ones, you got to deal with the swings, because if we're coming in, believe it or not, I still have a very involved following and people that do trust my judgment, because I have had very, very big winners in the past. Certainly over the course of the last 3-4 years in the bear market, it's been tougher to have those huge winners, but we've still had our share of stuff that has worked out, especially when you get more ideas that have been put forth in premium and the elite service. With gold where it is, with the disconnect with the valuations on gold, silver, and a lot of other minerals, mining stocks, it is my contention that we are going to have a very profitable 2025 in this space, in the juniors, in the mid tiers. I don't recommend blue chips, even though the blue chips like Newmont and Barrick and Agnico Eagle, they've continued to go to new highs. So for those of you that own those producers, God bless you. You don't really need me to share with you. You go to one of the big investment banks, get their research, do your own, and it's not rocket science. The gold price goes up, costs don't go up as much, and they start to print money. But what happens though, in my bet, is that it does start to trickle because you need those companies to start to acquire or find the assets of their future to secure their future for future mines, which takes a long time, a lot of work. I-80 has 4 assets in Nevada that are stellar. This thing could be trading in 3 different companies and be justified with hundreds of millions in valuation for each one of them, if not more. This one is not moved yet. And they just had a CEO change. And that was part of what was the issue, I think, with this company. Ewan Downey, I think for medical and or just personal reasons, he stepped out of the CEO chair. But they've got this, Richard Young, who's really got a stellar CV to take this to the next level. I think I-80 probably won't exist or won't exist in its current form by the end of next year, meaning they'll get gobbled up. And it's not going to be under, I think, 100% higher than where it is today because it's really not participated in any of this bump that's happened from the gold price with their asset base. So I would strongly recommend that those of you that may not even be as risk tolerant going into these little ones, or they're not liquid enough for you, even if you're an institution, a family office, a fund of some sort, I-80 is a top pick of mine here. And do your own homework. I'm going to be writing a report on I-80 that will be featured on our blog, and I hope to distribute that widely to give people an idea of the value I see there, to put a nice big win on the board. So Metallis, the Carlisle deal, if any of you own that one, it's just they did a transaction recently. We have to write it off, frankly. I think we write it off, or you just hold it, see if a miracle happens at this point. But I said to stop buying that and hold it, at least, not buy more at a point, not long after we got involved in it. Hopefully some of you actually did bail on it before it got down into the pennies. But in any event, that was my error. I screwed that up and gave the management and the group around it the benefit of the doubt, even though I had indications that I should be careful. My fault. And, my goal, even up to recently, increasing my position, was that worst case scenario, we would get a control position and buy the Newton asset out. But they just did a deal with another entity and all this stuff. And I don't know, maybe it gets a breath of life again. I'm not really that excited about telling people to take a loss at 2 cents unless you need a loss. Metallis, you got my 411 on that. I would follow this one very carefully. I wouldn't get crazy on the buy side until we get closer to them completing that financing. After that's all in bed, and I also I hope not to see it go to 20 cents where then the TSXV says, oh, you priced it at 13. 13 is a very fair price. It's over 100% gain from the last financing they did, but it's still very cheap. And that story is just really getting going. Really briefly on Phenom, you may have seen going back about 10 days ago, there were some big volume trades on Phenom. And I can just tell you that that was a cross of getting in a very substantial new investor to get positioned, to begin to get positioned with a 1 million share buy that was done over the course of like the week. It took a while to even get, besides that initial 500,000 share cross, to get the rest of it at 41 cents Canadian. There's a reason that this individual is getting in now. I believe that their appetite to buy is somewhere in the 5 to 10 million share range. So I don't see Phenom going down very much from here. I also feel we should see some news pretty. This stock, look at this chart. I mean, come on, look at that thing. Phenom is ready to blow. Any volume comes into this again where it's not coordinated, like somebody's crossing in a new buyer, this thing is gonna blow. Oh my gosh, I haven't looked at it in about a week on the chart. Looks a lot better than I remember. So we have a ton going on there. I'm not going to get into details here, so hopefully most of you watch this video because it's short. Just know that I am so excited about Phenom Resources for both the vanadium side, which has been in the gutter on the pricing, and I think only has one way to go but up. But even then, the type of things that they've been working on, these are big. This is big boy stuff. Some people have made comments about the market cap being, healthy versus a lot of other junior mining companies, but that's for a reason. Trust me when I say that. And on the gold side, go reread what they found already at Dobbin. This is a discovery on the Carlin trend in Nevada at surface with high grades. There's already speculation about how big this could be, or at a minimum. I'm not going to say anything, there's nothing official about it, but I have people that I, talk with on the geologist side of things, and I've had multiple that think that this is at a minimum of 5 million ounce deposit, could be as high as 15, 20 million ounces of gold. We will see. It's going to take time. They still don't have a permit to drill there, so that's probably not going to happen on Dobbin until maybe the middle of next year to really do a drill program. In the meantime, they could be doing trenching. That because this is, up to 3 grams found on surface of gold in Nevada, which is unheard of. But watch that project closely. King Solomon with those historic results. They've vetted anything that they've acquired in the last couple of years as being potential elephants, or they haven't taken them. Crescent Valley is being drilled probably this month. I would assume we'll get an update. They already announced that the Crescent Valley drill program is planned. It's a modest program, but the good news with Phenom too is that they can drill. They're doing a ton of work on those other projects. The only one on the gold side that's on pause is the deep Carlin system that they've had some real hints and vectoring in to find a feeder zone on, but that's very expensive to drill. So I think that they came to the conclusion we've got these other very ripe, potentially very huge, much cheaper assets to focus on. I wouldn't be surprised if they grab another asset in these times. So what has happened in the last 18, 24 months with Phenom is you've got components of one of the greatest vanadium related stories in the world that will be spun out at some point into Phenom Vanadium. And you've got one of the most robust Nevada gold exploration portfolios that exist anywhere that will be spun out into Phenom Gold. Lots of different things that'll set this off, guys. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you're having a great one, and I will be back with my report on I-80. Call it by sometime next week, but that is a strong buy in my view. It's one that sticks out. And there's I own all these stocks, just so you know. I own all of them, so any increase in price could benefit me. I don't have any financial arrangements with any of them whatsoever. These are picks that are my favorites that I own in size and actually am continuing to buy every single one of them, except for Carlisle. Cheers.